Philadelphia, 1766. A city bustling with revolution and opportunity. Among its many residents was a boy who would rise from the ashes of war to become one of the most influential figures of his time. His name? James Forten. Born into freedom in an era when liberty was a rare gem, young James found himself in a world on the cusp of change. This was a time of revolution, of ideas, of a new nation struggling to find its footing, and amidst this chaos and potential, James Forten was about to embark on an incredible journey. He was a child of Philadelphia, a child of the Revolution, and his story was woven into the fabric of a nation's birth. His life was a testament to the power of resilience and determination, a tale of an individual who refused to be defined by the constraints of his time. Born free in a world where freedom was a luxury, young James was about to embark on a journey that would test his mettle. At the tender age of 14, James served as a sailor, bravely defending his country's ideals. But the tides of war are unpredictable. The American Revolutionary War wasn't just a battle for independence, it was a crucible that shaped the destinies of many, including our young protagonist James Forten. Caught in the turmoil of war, James found himself aboard the privateer ship Royal Louis, not as a mere deckhand, but as a powder boy, a position of considerable responsibility. His courage under fire and his unwavering dedication to the cause of freedom spoke volumes about his character, even at such a tender age. However, war is a cruel mistress. The Royal Louis was captured by the British in the autumn of 1778. James, along with his shipmates, was taken prisoner. The specter of slavery, a fate feared more than death, loomed large. James's fate hinged on a game of chess he played with the British captain's son during his captivity. His intelligence and strategic acumen during the game left a deep impression on the young Brit. Impressed by James's intelligence, the captain's son ensured he wasn't sold into slavery, but instead held as a prisoner of war, rather than being sold into the abhorrent slave trade. As we delve deeper into the life of James Forten, we see a recurring theme. Time and again he turned the tides of adversity with his intellect, his courage, and his unwavering belief in the ideals of liberty and equality. While the winds of war raged, James Forten stood tall, a beacon amidst the storm. His spirit remained unbroken, his resolve unshaken. Even in the face of dire circumstances, he held on to his dignity, his intelligence a formidable shield against the horrors of slavery. This act of recognition from an unexpected quarter was merely the first of many milestones in the remarkable journey of James Forten, a journey that would see him rise from the ashes of war to become a beacon of hope and an embodiment of the American dream. Returning to Philadelphia after the war, James didn't just rebuild his life, he soared. Once a sailor, he now found a new wind to sail, the wind of opportunity. He started as an apprentice in a sail loft, learning the trade with a dedication that was hard to ignore. He mastered the craft, one stitch at a time, and soon, he was no longer just an apprentice, but an indispensable part of the business. Yet James wasn't content with just being a part of something, he wanted to create, to build, to lead. And so, he did. When his former employer retired, James took over the business, transforming it into one of the most successful sail-making enterprises in Philadelphia. His sails weren't just fabric stitched together, they were symbols of quality, of dedication, of the spirit of a man who refused to be confined by the boundaries of his circumstances. His success in business translated into wealth, a wealth that was rare for an African American in the 18th century. But James was not a man to hoard his riches. He used his wealth to uplift those around him, to foster a community, to ignite a spark of hope in the hearts of many. From a humble sailmaker to the owner of a prosperous business, James Forten became one of the wealthiest African Americans of his era. But wealth wasn't his only legacy. The sails he crafted were not just used by ships to harness the wind, but also by a community to harness hope. His success was not just measured in the coins he earned, but in the lives he touched, in the barriers he broke, in the change he inspired. James Forten was not just a businessman, he was a visionary, a pioneer, a beacon of resilience in a world that often seemed dark. His story is a testament to the human spirit, a reminder that no matter how tumultuous the seas, we have the power to navigate our own course, to rise, to soar, to leave a legacy that goes beyond the tangible. And that is the true wealth of James Forten. As a successful businessman, James Forten was not a man who sat on the sidelines. He knew the importance of using his voice to enact change, He became deeply involved in the abolitionist movement, using his influence to rally against the injustices faced by his fellow African Americans. He was a firm believer in equality, and he wasn't afraid to stand up for what was right. James took his fight for freedom to the legal front as well. He boldly petitioned against the Fugitive Slave Act, a law that sought to return runaway slaves to their masters. He understood that true freedom meant fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. But James's activism didn't stop at petitions and protests. He understood the power of the written word, and he used this to further the abolitionist cause. He became one of the key financial backers of William Lloyd Garrison's anti-slavery newspaper, The Liberator. This publication became a beacon of hope for those enslaved and a rallying cry for the abolitionist movement. Yet James's fight against slavery wasn't confined to just public spaces. He also opened his own home, offering a safe haven to those fleeing the horrors of slavery. His house became a station on the Underground Railroad, a network of secret routes and safe houses used by enslaved African Americans to escape into free states and Canada. His home wasn't just a testament to his financial success, but a reflection of his unwavering commitment to the cause of freedom. It was a sanctuary, a place of safety and hope for those who had known nothing but oppression. His story, a melody of courage and resilience, echoed through the streets of Philadelphia, inspiring both his contemporaries and future generations. His life was a testament to the fact that the human spirit, when fueled by determination, can overcome even the most formidable challenges. As a successful businessman, he proved that one's past does not define their future. Born free, captured in war, and then rising to become one of the wealthiest African Americans of his era. James Forten was more than just an entrepreneur. He was a symbol of perseverance and determination. And so, even after his death, his legacy continues to inspire. His story serves as a reminder that our worth is not defined by our circumstances but by our actions and our unwavering commitment to stand up for what's right. In the pages of history, amidst tales of generals and presidents, stands the story of James Forten, a sailor, a businessman, a freedom fighter. A legacy that reminds us that true wealth isn't just gold or silver, but the mark we leave behind.